That sounds different, right? Switching back to the grays almost sounds like putting on some new strings. It sounds so much fresher. Welcome to a high-end DI box comparison video. Today I want to make a shootout with 3 of the very best sounding active DI boxes on the market. I want to find the king of DIs. This video is for people who care about the last 0.something% of audio quality. The differences between these DI boxes will be very small. It's all going to be about very subtle nuances. So if you don't care for that, this probably is not your video. Okay? And please make sure you are in a proper listening environment with studio monitors or professional headphones. Don't listen to this video through your television or cell phone, unless you just want to hear me talking, which sometimes can be entertaining as well. That being said, it's time to dive right into this and to have some fun with these wonderful boxes here. Time to do my nerdy job. Here we go. I want to start with introducing the 3 contenders, and after that I'm going to explain how I'm going to do the test. I highly recommend to watch the entire video. That usually helps, but if you have a TikTok attention span, you can use the chapters below and jump wherever you want. Now, the DI boxes we're testing today don't come cheap. Most of them are $299, which is a lot, I get it. On the other hand, I gotta say, a great DI box is a lifetime investment. And if you are serious about being a producer or a self-recording guitarist or bassist, this is an investment in quality. And you only buy this once. You know, a great sounding DI box is not going to suck in 10 or 20 years. It's still going to sound great. And you can throw this under a car, you know, very durable stuff. So I don't know, I wouldn't save money here. Also, like a dedicated DI box makes you independent from the high impedance input of your audio interface. So if you switch audio interfaces, you don't switch the sound of your DI. Also smart, right? So yeah, my recommendation is better invest in a great sounding DI box once, and that's it. Unless you're as nerdy as me and keep on comparing other DI boxes and keep on moving on. But that's a condition I have. Usually it should be enough to buy any of those 3 DI boxes and you're good. Now let's have a look at the 3 contenders. Let's start with the DI box that I am currently using. So this is my current favorite. An active DI box from a microphone company. This one comes from AEA. It looks really, really beautiful. I don't know if you can see that. Looks really nice, is very durable and sturdy, and it sounds great. I've shown it on this channel before. We all know that the heart of every DI box is the transformer, and inside of this one we have a German transformer coming from LEHLE. And if you don't know LEHLE, that is a wonderful company. They make some of the best sounding little helpers in the guitar world, especially their guitar splitters are awesome. I'll put a link below. Everybody should have a LEHLE splitter. These are great. So they make awesome custom transformers, and this is what you find inside this really good sounding AEA DI box. AEA don't only make wonderful sounding ribbon microphones, they also make very transparent sounding microphone preamps. They also just released a VCA compressor that I haven't tested yet. And I think they designed this box together with Mr. Fred Forsell, hope I'm saying the name correctly, who is known for working with some of the very best brands in the audio industry. I've been using this, it sounds great. And this is the most requested DI box from your side. This one comes from Rupert Neve Designs. This is the RNDI. It's the M version. I'm going to say something about that very soon. But when I ask you which DI you want to see on this channel, you all wanted to see this one. And this seems to be like the hippest high-end DI box at the moment. We all know Mr. Rupert Neve, may he rest in peace, and we all know that he has become legendary for his mic pre-designs, but also for his transformers that you can find in some of his mic preamps, in some of the microphones he did with SE Electronics, and also inside this DI box. This is the smaller version called RNDI-M that they have just released. The regular version is just like the other DI boxes at $299. This one is a smaller version. It sounds exactly the same, uses the same transformer, the sound is exactly the same. The only difference being that this one does not have a pad. But as long as you're using this one to record guitars and basses, you don't need the pad. You can still throw even a line signal at this one, I think up to 20.5 dB, which works for most line signals. It wouldn't be enough for my SSL converters, but still usable. The big version has a pad that makes it incredibly versatile. You can even use a 1000 watt bass or guitar amp and throw it at that DI box. So I would say, unless you use a DI box to send very hot line level signals or to send the speaker output of your guitar or bass amp into it, you can get away with buying the more affordable RNDI-M version, which I think is $199, so you can save some money. And the third contender, by the way, the most beautiful of them all. Look at this color. I don't know if you can see this, but this one looks gorgeous. Pittoresque. Really cool looking. I love this. Everybody who sees this falls in love with this. This one comes from Grace Design. They are known for making some of the cleanest and most transparent sounding mic preamps out there. I love Grace Design for their monitor controllers, the M900 something. I remember before I bought my Crane Song Avoset like 15 years ago, I demoed one of their monitor controllers here and I fell in love with it. It sounded great and it felt so intuitive. I really loved it, but I couldn't afford it back then. This one was for some reason much cheaper. I couldn't afford it. It was the best monitor controller out there. So I think whenever I will get rid of my Avoset, I need Grace Design. Hello, Grace Design. I love your stuff. No, they make some amazing and very transparent sounding stuff. And this one is built around a custom Lundahl transformer. We all know Lundahl as being maybe the #1 pro audio transformer company. Custom made transformer for this DI box. I'm curious to find out how it sounds. It also has a pad, and this one also comes for $299. The feature set of these two DI boxes is pretty much the same, pretty standard. So you have the input for your guitar, you have a passive through output, and none of these DI boxes has a buffered through output. So depending on what you connect to this output, this might actually change the tone of your DI. Check out this video and thank me later. But I kind of understand they're not doing this because you can use the buffer pedal to, follow the video. And Joey from AEA actually told me that they prefer to use the full voltage, the 48 volt phantom power, to make this sound great instead of using it for buffering another output that some people might not use. But all these three DI boxes don't have a buffered output. So input through. This one additionally has a peak LED, nice to have. This one has a pad, and the AEA has a pad too. I've explained that the Rupert Neve Designs does not have a pad. If you need one, get the bigger version. And then there's the XLR output, and all of them have a ground lift, which is very important as well. I decided to run this test using bass guitar signals and not guitar signals. Why is that? First of all, a bass guitar has a wider frequency spectrum, especially in the low end, and I really want to hear the low end of these DI boxes and compare it. Additionally, it's just much easier to judge the sound of a bass DI because a guitar DI always sounds like shit. It's just a placeholder that is supposed to go through a guitar amp, So it's kind of difficult to tell, how it sounds unless you reamp it through a guitar amp, and I didn't really want to go that far. I also did some experiments with active and passive pickups, and as we all know, passive pickups are a lot more delicate. And if the input impedance of your DI box is not high enough, this might roll off the higher frequencies and might darken your DI tone, which is something that we don't want. But let me assure you, the input impedance of all these boxes is so high that I could not hear any degradation in sound. So finally, for doing this test, I used active pickups, my active Fernandez bass guitar, because I love the sound of it, and I also wanted to find out which DI box works best with this one. But if you are using passive pickups, you don't have to worry about darkening your tone with any of these DI boxes. So now I'm going to record some bass guitar, and then we're going to check out the results in Cubase together. See you there. So let's have a look at the results. And I want to be honest with you, I was surprised. And I was almost a little disappointed, if I'm being totally honest. I really went through a lot of comparisons here. And yeah, it's not what I expected. However, the good news is that all these three DI boxes sound incredible. They sound amazing. You can't go wrong with any of them. That's the good news. So if that's what you wanted to hear, you can turn off now. But if we dig a little deeper, this is where the problems start, or where things get a little more complicated. I want to start with showing you what you can expect if you compare a great sounding DI to, let's say, an okayish sounding DI. What I did was I split the signal of my active Fernandez bass loaded with EMG pickups into, and I could have used any of the three high-end DI boxes. In this case, I just happened to use the grays, so I split it into the grays, and at the same time, I went into the instrument input of my API 3124 Plus mic preamp, and I did the same thing with my Warm Audio WA412, which is also an API-inspired preamp. And let's have a listen to the differences. Maybe we want to start with the API. This is the grays, and if I go here, we switch to the API. And I want you to listen especially to the higher frequencies. Let's go. And that sounds different, right? Switching back to the grays almost sounds like putting on some new strings. It sounds so much fresher. This is maybe not a night and day difference, but this is a difference that I would pay for, that I would spend money on. It just sounds better. Same thing happens if you compare the grays DI box and the Warm Audio preamp. It sounds brighter, it sounds faster, it sounds more in your face, fresher, much better if you ask me. And this happens if you use any of those three DI boxes compared to just plugging your bass into any of those mic pre's. Now the problem here is that the instrument inputs of the API and the Warm Audio don't suck. They sound all right. So I guess many people don't know what they're missing, especially a lot of people who use the instrument input of their USB audio interfaces. And you know what? Once we send the signal through a compressor and an amp simulation, I can also hear a pretty significant difference in the low end. Let's have a listen. So this is grays versus Warm Audio one more time. The grace just sounds quite a lot thicker in the low end, not in a boomy way, in a nice way. Maybe it has a more extended or more linear low end, I don't know, but I prefer this. More highs, more lows, better. Anyway, this is what you can expect from a good versus an okay sounding DI box. So this was the easy part of the test because we could easily hear a difference. It got much more complicated once I started comparing our high-end DI boxes. Let me just talk about the setup. So I was playing that active bass and I was going from the DI boxes. I tried different mic preamps and I ended up with a Harrison mic pre that I'm also talking into right now. So I used a Harrison mic pre after the DI box, but I tried a lot and using a different mic pre didn't make more of a difference between the DI boxes. So first I started I was a little naive. I just thought like, hey, why don't I just play the same riff on the Grace, on the Neve, and on the AEA? Let's have a listen. And I had a lot of moments where I thought, okay, just right now here, oh, the Neve sounds a little thinner than the Grace, and maybe the AEA is a little darker. And I really started diving deep into this and analyzing stuff. But the more I analyzed this, you know what I found out? And I felt really stupid. I was not hearing a difference between the DI boxes. I was hearing me not playing consistently enough. So whenever I thought, now I found something, no, it was just because it was a different take. And here it is quite extreme. Here I was testing the low end. And depending on how hard I hit the string, you have the feeling that the DI box sounds thicker. So if we go from maybe this one. You think, wow, the AA sounds so much thicker. But if you go here. And the Grace sounds thicker again. So I tried a lot, as you can see, but I couldn't find out anything meaningful about the difference between those boxes. They just all sounded great, you know? And I almost freaked out because usually I'm the guy on this channel who, shows those tiny nuances and differences. And I tried a lot. I also tried a passive pickup. So at some point I decided I have to change my setup and I have to record the same take. So I split the signal into two DI boxes using the through output, but it was all buffered. It was all fine. I even tried if it makes a difference which one I have first and which one I have second. And I always recorded two of them. I did the same thing, by the way, when I compared the warm audio and the API. So now let's have a listen. This is the exact same take going into the Grace and into the Rupert Neve. And you know what? I got to be honest, I don't hear a difference. Of course, if I switch the polarity on one of them, they don't fully cancel out, so there is a difference. I just don't hear anything that matters. And let's move on to Grace versus AEA. And it's the same here, unfortunately. I feel a little stupid because usually I hear those things. Let's turn on the compressor and the amp sim again, and let's switch between the different DI boxes just to see if we hear a difference in that scenario. Let's start with the Grace. So you see I'm constantly switching between them. Same thing here, AEA versus Grace. I gotta say, I don't care. They all sound great. I gotta be honest here. Again, I would love to be the smart guy telling you, hey, this one sounds so much more green or blue or yellow, whatever. I just can't. I'm sorry. So I need your help. I will export those files so you can download them, okay? So there's a link below so you can download these two files and these two files so you can compare them. And maybe I'll also give you the comparison to the mic pre's. I don't know yet. But you will be able to hear all three boxes and leave a comment. Maybe you hear things that I don't hear. I'm pretty sure there will be comments like, who cares about fucking DI boxes? I only care about guitar speakers. There's no difference at all. And then I can already hear some of you saying, wow, it's a night and day difference. You know, this sounds like a record and this sounds like a demo. And, you know, so I'm curious to see what you can hear, because I would say they all sound killer. They all sound amazing. And I don't know. For me, it just doesn't. We've reached a level where it doesn't make a real difference anymore. So basically, you can let the price decide, or maybe you want the prettiest of them. I don't know. One difference I need to mention is that the AEA box is a lot quieter. So if we look at the original levels here, this one is at 0 dB. This one is at 0, and this one is 11 dB boosted. So this is what the AEA originally looked like when I recorded them with the same gain setting on the mic pre. But you know what? I've been using this box for a long time, and this has never been an issue for me. Actually, especially if you play active pickups, you don't really need the pad. So it actually came handy. But anyway, you just turn up the gain on the mic pre a little bit, and I never noticed this, but in direct comparison, the AEA is around 11 dB quieter than the other two. So this was all that I was able to show you in this video. Again, the good news is all these boxes sound amazing. You can get any of them and you will make world-class DI recordings. And like I said in the beginning, you know, this is a lifetime investment. You just buy this once and then you can forget about it. I had no problems with noise or hum or anything else here in the studio. I mean, I didn't run any super long cable lines, but they all performed incredibly well. So yeah, now it's up to you. There are links to all the boxes below, and there's another link to a zip file containing my recordings so you can compare them. So if you want to dive deeper into this, download the files, listen to them in your studio, and let me know what I've missed, or let me know your opinion. That's interesting. And thanks again to Grace Design and AEA and Rupert Neve Designs. I would have loved to announce a winner of this shootout, but you know what? They are all winners. They're all winners. That's the good news. We're all winners. Isn't that romantic? Okay, so the first romantic ending of any video that I have done. Let's destroy this right now. I see you in hell, motherfuckers. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.